Here's how it works. Each entrepreneur will have 5 minutes and no more than 5 minutes to present their company. After each of the 5 presentations, I will get some feedback from our extremely distinguished panel of judges who I'll introduce in a moment. When the contestants, the entrepreneurs, are all done, you will vote for the winner of Startup Idol. I'll explain to you how you're going to vote. I think it involves your cell phone, at least I hope so. And we have the requisite number of chairs, and so I'd like to bring out our judges, and I will start with a woman who needs no introduction, Marissa Mayer, the CEO of Yahoo. Thank you. Welcome, Marissa. Jeff Richards, partner with GGV Capital. Dana Settle, general partner with Graycroft. And lastly, Casey Wasserman, CEO of Wasserman Media Group. Please join me in welcoming the judges. Without further ado, our first entrepreneur, Pamela Aria, CEO and co-founder of Optensity.
Okay. Thank you, Adam. I'm really happy to be here today. I'm Pam Aria, the CEO of Optensity, and I'm here to tell you about our brand new analytics platform called AppSymphony. AppSymphony is the next generation BI analytics platform for the cloud. So to take a riff on the poem The Ancient Mariner, data everywhere, but not a drop to drink. So if we have so much data, why are we still having problems getting knowledge from it? Why can't we find big insights? Why can't we make money? Why does it keep swirling in the cloud? The reason is because it's very, very hard to access that data. That's what we believe. So we believe that data scientists and analysts don't have the skills to access all these complex data structures, these different versions of Hadoop, these different kind of data sources, streaming data, data at rest. So we wanted to make that very, very easy for them, abstract away the complexity of dealing with that data. As well, we wanted a solution that it could execute in any kind of infrastructure at scale. So AppSymphony, it was built to solve these problems. There are 3 parts to the tool. The composer is the user-facing interface for the data scientist and analyst. There's a repository so that all the apps they built, the composite apps they built, can be stored and shared and reused within their enterprise. And there's an execution engine that allows any part of that analytic workflow to execute anywhere. We call this an agile virtualized app composition tool. So this is a look at our user interface and one of the first analytic workflows that we composed for our client. They were looking for some stuff in Twitter. They did some special analytics on it. They stored it in Hadoop, HDFS. They then tipped and queued a camera, a security camera. They ran some analytics on the feed of the camera. They stored that. They then sent an answer out to Google and an alert to their analyst. What you can see about this is that it's a very intuitive drag and drop user interface. As well, it's a completely open platform. You can bring your own analytics to the platform. You can bring your own commercial tools, your own visualization tools. There's no restrictions on what's in the canvas. That's all owned by the user, by the data analyst, and can be reused at any level in this composition canvas. So we want you to let your fingers do the walking and create your own analytic apps. So a very important part of our tool is the multi-cloud execution. So we say we're not your father's BI tool because what we allow you to do is to take any part of the analytic workflow and execute it anywhere, in a public cloud, in a private cloud, in AWS, in Hadoop, in non-Hadoop. This means that we have virtualized at the application level layer at scale. So why should you use AppSymphony? First of all, there's a lot of very key trends that our tool captures. That's platform as a service, embedded Hadoop analytics, and hybrid cloud. If you're using our tool at breakfast time, you are leveraging all these key advances in the cloud and in your analytic environment. Thank you.
Round of applause, please. Okay, I just want to remind the judges, you're fundamentally answering the question, would you invest or not? If so, why? If not, why not? Marissa, we'll start with you.
Sure. I think that overall it's a good idea. I think that data is obviously something that's going to differentiate a lot of different companies. I think that one of the questions I still have after seeing the presentation is around use cases and what would differentiate an application that used App Symphony. And so I think I would need to know more before I could say yes.
Great. Jeff.
First of all, I think giving a pitch in 5 minutes is tough, so credit to you. I would agree with Marissa, and we've invested in a couple of BI companies. It's a huge category. Most of the ones I've seen, and you have to assume most investors will have heard from, have a very specific use case. They go in, they get 25 customers in that space, and then grow from there. So maybe just something to think about as you think about how are we going to go to market, how are we going to acquire customers, how are we going to differentiate in a pretty crowded but very large category.
And just to remind everybody, BI is business intelligence, right? Dana.
I agree with what both Jeff and Marissa said, and it is tough to give a 5-minute pitch. Definitely would need to hear more about sort of what the specific use case is, because it's a little bit murky in terms of kind of who your customer base really is when you talk about people developing apps sort of on top of your infrastructure. I don't think it's really clear who that is, and I think it's always good to give a very specific use case so that people can kind of imagine where you're going with it, and also to talk a little bit about your background and sort of the vision for where it's going. So I think you need to give a little more information in the overall pitch.
Casey.
Yeah, I think you're talking about solving, as you explained, a very complicated problem. I wouldn't invest because I don't think you gave people enough confidence why you can solve that problem. And when you talked about why your business, all you talked about was the trends of the industry, not about why you're uniquely positioned to solve that problem.
Great feedback from all of you, and thank you very much, Pamela Aria of Optensity. All right. Next up, Adi Bitan, CEO and founder of Owner Listens.
Good afternoon, everybody. My name is Adi. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Owner Listens. Our mission at Owner Listens is to provide great customer service with enabling brick and mortar businesses and customers to communicate with each other directly. Now, if you look at the typical customer flow, the traditional flow, businesses would rather customers complain to them directly so they can solve the problem and turn out a happy customer. Unfortunately, for brick and mortar, most of the time customers will actually not complain directly. They simply will never come back. And these days, there's a third option, and that is they will post an online review, either on a review site like Yelp, on Facebook, or dozens of other outlets that are at their disposal. This, of course, is terrible for business, and in fact, research out of Harvard Business School estimates that a star on Yelp is actually worth 5 to 9% of revenue. We took notice of this at my co-founder's business, Orange Hummus Shop in Palo Alto, which you should all try next time you're in town. And we were trying to solicit customer feedback to make the business better, found it very, very difficult to get meaningful insights. And so we asked customers why, and they gave us 3 reasons. First reason was that customers don't like direct confrontation. Second reason was that it was a hassle and inconvenient to look up emails, phone numbers, wait on the line, etc. Third insight was that customers do not want to give out their private information, particularly emails and phone numbers, because they're worried about retribution or about getting spammed. So we built Owner Listens to solve this problem, and you can think of it as having a singular 1-800 number for all brick and mortar businesses, except it's an app format. And here's how it works. A customer fires up the app, and so they see all the businesses nearby. They can also search. They leave their feedback and send it. That's it. No registration, no email, no personal info shared. What we do at Owner Listens is send the feedback to the owner via SMS or email, and so the owner does not need to learn any new technology or integrate anything new into his or her systems. They can simply text or email back and hopefully turn that upset customer into a loyal advocate. And we do see that those relationships start to form, customers start to trust, and indeed they give more information over time. In addition, for more sophisticated, larger businesses, we offer premium features. For example, sending compensation through the app, location-based analytics to float systematic problems you might have with your business, custom surveys, geo and vertical benchmarking. So how are you doing relative to others in your zip code or relative to others in your vertical? And my personal favorite is co-branding, where we will customize the stickers and signs in your store and the logos and colors in the app to your business. So think about something like Joe's Pizza Listens or Orange Listens or even Starbucks Listens. The beauty of this is that it maintains the look and feel of the brand and the business owner's sense of ownership, yet the customer still only needs to download one app. Now you're probably asking yourself at this point, how do you handle distribution? Because distribution for brick and mortar is notoriously difficult. So to tackle this problem, we have an inherent feedback loop built into our platform. This is a sticker that might show up at a business that is already participating. A customer will download the app, and then they'll see all of the businesses nearby, even the ones that are not registered yet. And when they leave feedback, which many of them do for unregistered businesses, we treat that as a lead. We use our technology to go look for the business owner and find their contact information. We send them an email, prompt them to sign up, respond to the customer, and post a sticker in their business, generating more customers who download the app and continuing the cycle for us. How has this worked so far? Well, since launching an open beta in December of 2012, we've processed over 20,000 feedbacks. We've signed up over 2,000 businesses in 48 states, and all of this through organic customer feedback. So this is a very scalable, cost-efficient model for us. With that, all I'm going to ask you to do is when you do have negative feedback for a business, please do not post it on your wall, whether it's a physical wall or your virtual wall. Instead, I'd love for you to text feedback to 33733, download our app, tell businesses around you how they can improve. We would also appreciate 5-star app reviews. And additionally, I would like to improve. We like to eat our own dog food at Owner Listens, and so we created a specific location for this conference. It will be live for the next week. It's called OL at Brainstorm. Please tell me how I can improve. I look forward to your feedback. Thank you.
I personally like that you used 5 seconds of your 5 minutes to plug your the hummus shop in Palo Alto. It's a pretty good audience to plug in front of. Jeff, you start, please.
I love Orange hummus, first of all. A couple things. Distribution, obviously a big question anytime you're going after the SMB space, and you're going to get that from everybody. You didn't really touch on how you're going to make money, and so it's sort of longer term. I would think about. I think this category has some potential. There are a lot of companies trying to do this. Distribution's a problem, but also just how do you make money? How do you get to a scale where you can actually build a real business around it would be a big question for me. So probably at least one slide on that would be good.
Dana?
First of all, I loved your presentation because it's always nice for something like this to have really engaging content, and you did that. And you did answer one of the key questions. Another one of the questions, though, is just you solved part of the problem, which is not having sort of all this social information out there that can spam your business, but you didn't answer then how does an owner actually respond to all of this content, and that's one of the other challenges, especially for small businesses. So, in addition to the business model question, kind of how do you actually make their life easier?
Casey.
I agree with on the monetization issue. I'm not sure how you make a lot of money, and I think you'll have a natural tendency as you gain popularity to try and reach out to companies that provide more scale to get more distribution, and then you've moved away from having owners answer questions to representative answers questions, and you may be falling into the same trap as outsourced customer service operations.
Marissa.
I thought it was a great presentation. I think that I hadn't heard that stat about Yelp before and what a star is worth. I think there's also a lot of indicators that you've thought through a lot of the details, even down to the point of letting stores customize Owner Listens as an app in terms of color schemes, et cetera. I think that all is terrific. Overall, I think this is a big space. I think one question that remains for me is scale and social effects, because there's this distribution, which I think you have a clever solution to, but also you want people to really form a community. That's one of the things that really drives a lot of reviews. And so I think that that's one thing to think about, but I'd be positively inclined.
Adi, before you go, 10 words or less, how are you going to make money?
So the premium features are actually something we're charging for.
Already?
So the basic feedback service is free, but if you need gift cards or analytics, things like that is paid.
Adi Batan of Owner Listens.
Thank you.
Next up, Natalie Kogan, the CEO of Happier.
Hey everyone, my name is Natalie, and I'm going to talk to you about Happier. So Happier is a happiness company. We are inspired by research on what makes us happier, and our first product is a mobile application and online community to collect and share small happy moments you find in your day. Our big vision is to build a media company and a lifestyle brand inspired by this, and to use original written video content as well as technology and happier products to inspire millions of people to be happier in their everyday lives. Bit about myself, I did my career in many ways in reverse. People say I was a venture capitalist. I did strategy at McKinsey before I got the bug to use technology to improve people's lives. Most recently, I ran the consumer and user experience group at Where, which was a location-based startup that we sold to PayPal a few years ago. But that's not what really qualifies me to run a happiness company. It's the fact that I'm Russian, and you know, Russians, we are really happy people. Okay, not that. I did grow up in Russia in 1989. My family and I escaped and fled to the United States after spending a few months in refugee camps in Europe, and then spent a year in the projects outside of Detroit. After I emerged from this experience, I decided to chase the American dream of being happy, and for me that meant making a lot of money and achieving a lot of things. I did that for 20 years. It didn't make me happy, and that's when I turned to the science on happiness and was inspired to start Happier. So why Happier? It turns out that being happier is actually really important. People who are more positive are less depressed, they're less anxious, they have fewer heart attacks, they catch fewer colds and flus. If you're just slightly more positive, you tend to make better lifestyles and dietary choices. You sleep better. Employees who are more productive, happier are more productive, and kids who are more positive actually learn faster. And the good news is that there's a ton of science that shows there's very, very simple things we can do to be happier. Namely, two big ones: focusing on and appreciating and capturing small positive moments that are already part of our everyday lives, and staying connected to and sharing positive experiences with others, because turns out happiness is contagious. Those are the two themes that inspired our first product. We think of our mobile application as a set of emotional bookshelves that remind, encourage, and inspire you to actually notice those small happy moments in your day that you may be missing today. And we think of this happy moment as actually a new and different type of social content. It's more personal, it's smaller in scope, it's less braggy than what we may be posting on other social networks. And the reason is because when the expectation that on Happier, everything is positive. So you don't need to brag, you don't need to be on stage like we're finding we are in many social networks. And the other thing we have found is that this content, not only is it not being shared on current social networks by users, but it doesn't even occur to them unless they have this emotional bookshelf in Happier to remind them. A few stats on Happier. We launched a few months ago in February in the App Store, just for iOS for the moment. Our users have shared more than 1 million happy moments. We have 1,500 5-star reviews in the App Store, and 25% of our users share 5 or more happy moments per week, so a very engaged, passionate base. Do we plan to make money? Absolutely not. Money doesn't make you happier. Okay. It makes investors happier. So yes, we're planning to make money. And we think of 3 core revenue streams ahead of us. The first is promoted happy moments, which is essentially very similar to a promoted tweet. Think of brands and other partners having an opportunity to share their content and experiences in this very positive, engaged community. 2 is a traditional media model as we start to produce more original content and community sponsorships. And down the line, we are planning to make Happier branded and co-licensed products, everything from a custom Yoga Makes Me Happier yoga mat to remind you that that's something that makes you happier, to I'd love to see a great paint company do a happier orange color. Where we're headed, talked a bit about what we've achieved. Before we get there, here's the small 8-person team, lean and mean product making machine based out of Boston, where yes, I think we can build the next great consumer company. I see all the skeptics. We raised $2.5 million in seed capital from Mike Hirschland at Resolute VC and Mike Terrell at Venrock. We don't require all of our investors to be named Mikes, but it's a positive. And our big, bold vision is to build a media company and lifestyle brand that inspires millions of people to be happier in their everyday lives. And yes, if anyone here knows Richard Branson, I would love to chat with him about a happier airline, because I think that's an experience we can improve. Thank you.
Dana.
Well, first of all, I love your shoes.
Thank you.
They made me happy to walk
It's
up on
orange,
stage.
happier
In terms of building a content business in general, it's a good mission. It's difficult to build a content business if you don't have sort of a focused demo. And so that would be, one of the challenges that I think that you're going to face, at least in sort of launching. But you've made good progress initially. But I do think that's a challenge with the content business.
Casey.
Yeah, I think the money-making aspects are challenging. I think to be a big media business, I'm not sure happy's a category that is clearly definable and defensible against others. It's a good mission. You can always be, a gathering place for therapists too.
Marissa.
I like the brand, I like the concept. I think that there is something to it. I mean, having learned a lot about Tumblr just in the past few months, like we see things there like they only have fan mail, makes things feel really positive and overall builds a better community. So I think there is something to it. I think there's always a question around distribution and scale, which you need. And I do think, I agree with Dana's comment on the focused demographics as well. But I think it's promising.
Jeff.
So I loved your pitch. I think personally you're the kind of person we all want to invest in. Great job of engaging with us as you're trying to talk to the audience. I think as you'll have absolutely no problem raising seed capital for this business as you already have. The question is, as you get farther along, you're going to get people like Dana who drill in on how do you build a media business, how do you build a lifestyle business, and that's when life gets tough. But I wish I personally would have invested with Mike and Mike, because I think it's a great mission, and I think we all want to work with people like you that have that sort of aspirational, fun element to what they're trying to do.
Thanks.
Natalie Kogan of Happier. Thank you.
Thank you.
Next up is Corey Levy, the COO of One.
Thank you. My name is Corey Levy, and I'm the co-founder of One, a mobile application that personalizes your world. It's truly an honor to be here today because 3 years ago, while I was still in high school, I snuck into this conference and into that very same seat. And I was sitting next to Keith Raboy, the former COO of Square and current investor at Khosla Ventures. And fast forward a bit, and Keith became our first investor in One over a series of tweets while I was still in college. Now, I doubt that any of you had to sneak into this conference today, but the majority of people around you are still probably strangers. And this isn't by choice, but it's more so by technical limitation. How many times have you been physically surrounded by people that you've wanted to meet? One solves this problem by notifying you of the people that are right next to you that share a number of rare interests in common. And we'll tell you what those interests are, whether you both like Blue Bottle coffee or mountain biking or even liquidation preferences. Every day, we walk past hundreds of people without knowing how we might be able to benefit each other. People meet their best friends and the people they spend the rest of their lives with by chance. And One is turning that serendipity into more of a science. One will be deploying on college campuses this coming fall, because on a college campus, people meet the friendships that last a lifetime. Now, think back to your first day on a college campus, not knowing a single person. What One will do is we'll notify you of the people that are literally right next to you who share your interests. We'll introduce you to the people that you should know on a college campus. For a generation of young people, digital interaction has continued to replace this face-to-face interaction you're seeing on the screen. But yet, as a high-tech product, One actually embraces digital interaction to bring you one of the most real experience of all, and that's actual human connection in the real world. One began with this concept of connecting to people nearby who share your interests, but we took this concept a step further to allow you to connect with locations as well. So for example, if you liked Justin Timberlake in a One-enabled location, whether that be a Blue Bottle coffee or restaurant or cafe, in addition to knowing the other people in the room that like Justin Timberlake music will start playing on the speaker system of the cafe that you're in. And if Justin Timberlake was playing a secret show in Aspen tomorrow, you would receive a notification about that on One. Like a personal assistant or close friend, One is constantly looking out for your interests to bring you the power of the internet to the real world. Now, thinking beyond the products that we're working on today, the personalization engine which One is based on will only become more important in the future. Everyone is, of course, aware of search and the role it has played in making the internet what it has become. But now that the internet has permeated into the real world, it's inundated us with information. And this makes it clear that search needs to evolve. It needs to change. We can't be searching for all the things we love all of the time, but what if the things we love came to us instead? One is one of the first personalization engines for your iPhone. You put in all the things you love, and we'll personalize your world based on those things. One will be deploying on over 10 college campuses this coming fall with the potential to change the lives of nearly 200,000 students. And with the help of our hundreds of college ambassadors and our brilliant team, which consists of engineering dropouts and graduates from Princeton and the University of Illinois, and our awesome investors like Ron Conway and True Ventures, we truly hope to personalize your world. Thank you for your time.
Casey, we'll start with you.
I think it's an idea a lot of people are thinking about. It seems to me like you're trying to do a couple different things at the same time, and so I would pick one and do it really well and focus. It seems like one is a loftier goal of having it be everywhere and drag that into your life, and one is about connecting you to people, and they don't necessarily have to be connected and be done at the same time. So I'd focus on one of those.
Marissa.
I like the notion of a personalization or a serendipity engine, but I do think it's a really crowded space. Circle, Highlight, Sonar, there's a lot of different people who are working in this area. So I would want to know more about the science and technology behind it, because I think in terms of being able to surface interesting people, content, interesting concepts around you, you really need to have great machine learning and great AI behind it.
Jeff?
I think the idea of, to Marissa's point, crowded space, the idea of going into college campuses and trying to build out a presence there is an interesting one. How do you do that? How do you make it happen? How do you get people to adopt it, maybe even around particular types of demographics? I think one of the challenges in pitching investors in this category is we've all heard quite a few pitches of companies that sound like this. And so we're all thinking, when's he going to get to the point where I go, oh, this is different? And I'd really kind of focus in on that as you think about how you pitch this.
Dana.
Agree with all the comments. I would just add that the companies sort of in this area that have taken off so far, like Tinder and Grindr, sort of have very specific use cases. And,
do you want to elaborate on that?
So I think it's hard to just launch with sort of a broad concept of it, but maybe if you can get the traction on college campuses. I mean, it worked for Facebook, so. And thank you for the venture capital joke. Everybody loves a good VC joke.
Corey Levy of One, thank you very much. Okay, everybody knows that it's not easy going last, so please give an especially warm welcome to Daniel Yaffe and Jonathan Yaffe of Any Road.
It's summer 2013 and you're planning a family vacation. You book your flight and your Airbnb with a few clicks from your phone. But then you want to take a tour with a professional guide to show your kids the wonders of the world. Your friend hands you a slip of paper with an email address. You correspond back and forth, send an international money transfer to a sketchy bank account on the other side of the world, and hope for the best when you arrive.
2/3 of the trillion-dollar tourism industry is still offline. There are massive segments that have absolutely no visibility. AnyRoad is here to solve that. We've built a platform to modernize the tourism industry, and we're working with governments to implement it.
And we're starting with the $16 billion market of professional licensed tour guides because they're at the heart of this industry. This is a demographic composed of 400,000 professional guides who make an average of $40,000 a year and are literally still using feature phones, paper brochures, GeoCities websites, which are still popular in Japan, and international money transfers. We're starting with this market because it's 95% offline.
Last year, we met with 8 governments and thousands of professional tour guides around the world. We listened to their pain. We built AnyRoad for them. AnyRoad's core product is a free guide-centered CMS, which simplifies communications, booking, scheduling, trust, and international payments. We've put in a commission-based structure for new business on top of the CMS to begin monetization from the beginning.
We drive demand generation through 2 key pillars. The first is our B2C consumer-facing marketplace, which will soon have social recommendations for discovery.
The second are our B2B partnerships with the gatekeepers of the industry to lower our user acquisition cost. We've already partnered with some of the largest conferences, hotel chains, and accommodation websites who view AnyRoad as added value for their clients.
On the supply side, our key breakthrough in onboarding this very fragmented world of tour guides and SMBs was that these guides are all accredited by their governments, and they're members of guide associations.
So we partner with these organizations who are at the backbone of the industry, who have vested interest in modernizing their tourism infrastructure. They onboard the guides for us. This creates a self-vetted, self-perpetuating system of professional tour guides around the world, and we love self-service as a growth strategy. We're not inventing a new industry. nor are we simply aggregating what's already online. We're dropping a platform on top of a massive industry that's still fragmented and very antiquated. Think open table for the tourism industry.
In April of this year, we launched in New York, San Francisco, Rio de Janeiro, London, Israel, and Tokyo. We've lived in each of these markets, we speak their languages, have local partners, and are testing key assumptions about how to bring this industry online. We believe in extreme localization because we understand that the world does not operate the same as Silicon Valley's massive early adopters. We knew that if we were going to corner the base of this trillion-dollar industry, we had to test globally from day one.
And after only 3 months, completely bootstrapped, this is already showing phenomenal success. We're already working with
4 national governments with 3 more pending, and
9 guide associations across 4 continents.
we were international from the beginning, and creating these high-level targeted partnerships allowed us to stay lean and grow rapidly.
Responsibility is not only something we believe in. In this case, it's also good business. We give 5% of our revenue to local nonprofits chosen by the guides. Governments love it, and it's part of the unique value proposition that will allow us to onboard another 10 markets in the next year.
We're brothers, if you couldn't tell. Together, we've created 6 successful companies, enjoyed 1 big failure, speak 5 languages, have been over 100 countries, and have come together to modernize this industry. Our CTO is a former engineer at SoundCloud, and our advisors have deep experience as executives at Apple and eBay.
We're live, we're revenue positive, and we're blowing away our metrics.
Our name, as well as our philosophy, comes from a George Harrison song that's inspired many people. If you don't know where you're going, any road will take you there.
That was part of your 5 minutes, the sound clip?
Yeah.
You know, I think intended or unintended, this Startup Idol year has been noteworthy for the most moxie ever in one set of 5 contestants. We're going to end going the other direction. Casey, you first.
I actually think it's a brilliant idea. I think aggregating these kind of communities is clearly hard in finding them, but you're focusing on an industry that exists, that's big, and that's ripe for opportunity, and I think you guys have a good chance of success.
Dana.
I love you guys. I mean, great. I'm not sure that partnering with governments to launch a consumer product is the best idea, but you know, maybe it is. I mean, and you didn't talk at all about sort of the consumer adoption so far.
Jeff.
So we've invested in a number of travel companies that have gotten pretty large, and I think that the one thing that I saw each of them do in their pitches was they really personalized it. Here's my user, here's the other side, here's the provider. And so you guys have a very macro pitch. We're going to partner with governments, solve world hunger, et cetera, et cetera. Bring it down a level. Here's you're traveling with your family to Brazil. You want to go on bring it home and then sort of scale that out and say, we're going to do that tens of thousands of times per day. We're going to charge X. Here's how we're going to make, we've got to personalize a little bit. Otherwise, it's a little hard to kind of understand where it's all going. But I would agree with Casey. I think it's a great idea, and it's clearly a huge market for any of us who've traveled. You know the pain.
Marissa.
I like businesses that take software and apply it to industries, sort of the software eats meme. So I like the notion of software eats travel guide booking. I think that is clearly a big area. And I also think that in terms of local and travel, a lot of it comes down to how familiar you are with the market. So I like the fact that you've been to these markets, that you understand them, and you're starting there. And it's exciting to see how fast you're scaling up.
And before you two go, you mentioned you bootstrapped the business. How much did you bootstrap it with? And have you taken any professional investors' money yet?
No, not yet.
The first question?
What?
How much did you take?
We've spent about $60,000.
$60,000.
Are you guys going to raise money?
Daniel Yaffe, Jonathan Yaffe, Any Road. Thank you very much. Okay, everybody, that was just fantastic. We need your help now. It's time to vote for who the winner of Startup Idol is this year. On your screen, you should see a code for each of the contestants listed in the order that they presented. To vote, text the code for your preference to the following number, 22333.
It's like Idol.
That is on your screen too, but I'll repeat it in case it's too small. The code you texted to is 22333. Now, while you're voting, I want to have a short conversation with the judges. And I'll start with you, Marissa. One question watching them all that intrigues me and listening to your responses is, when you're looking at entrepreneurs pitch their businesses, can you discriminate between the substance and quality of their idea on the one hand and the quality of their presentation on the other hand? And does that matter?
I think you can. I mean, certainly a good presentation helps, but I think you can clearly see the ideas and whether or not it's differentiated from the market. Could
a bad presentation but a good idea sway you, Jeff?
Yeah, I think a bad presentation can hurt, but I tell you, when you have an hour with someone, it's a lot different than 5 minutes. So
Of
in
course.
an hour, you get to call it a half-hour pitch, then you spend a half an hour asking them questions and really digging into their knowledge of the business and the industry. And it, in my experience, becomes real obvious real quick whether you're dealing with somebody who really knows their business when they don't have a PowerPoint in front of them.
Yep.
But in 5 minutes, that doesn't
No,
happen.
we know we put some tough
We
constraints.
would not be
on
very
people.
successful listening to 5-minute pitches.
No.
Dana?
I mean, agreed, but a 5-minute pitch is a 5-minute pitch, but you basically, as an entrepreneur, you're constantly pitching your business. You're giving that 5-minute pitch, 20,000 times a day. I mean, you're just literally, you're pitching on, employees, investors, partners, customers, and so it does need to be a good pitch.
Casey?
Definitely, but I agree. I think someone has to look at a PowerPoint to tell their story. Not my favorite thing, whether they work for me or they're pitching an idea. And I usually like entrepreneurs to have thought about all the bad things can happen, because they all usually happen.
And what I really liked about the responses that all of you gave is that you were specific. You approached this exactly the way a professional investor would, by especially you hammered it on, well, you didn't give use cases, or you needed to say more about this. And even with 5 minutes, you could. We have the results. The overwhelming choice of the audience is Any Road. Congratulations to the Yankees from Any Road.